We're going to jump right into this one. Brian Von VA, what's the most evil thing you've witnessed a big bad evil guy do? Big Bad mind-controlled a father and made him kill his entire family except for their daughter. Then used modify memory to make them think the daughter was the one who killed the entire family, while the daughter believed the father killed them. This led to several years where both attempted to track the other down, leading to a fight to the death. Oh, the father won, and then the big bad evil guy removed the effects of modify memory. That's cold. Before we continue with the video, let's talk about the Eternium. These fantasy playing cards are a clash of titanic elements such as sea monsters combined with the beauty and power of fire, or the horrors of the undead fused with medieval punk styles. These playing cards are printed on a high-quality 310-gram blackcore paper with artwork done by the amazing Eddie Whipple. You have 3 mystical decks to choose from: the Dawn, the Dusk, and dead center a fusion called the Twilight. These also feature your standard 2 to ace playing cards flavored within 4 unique fantasy races: the Bastions, the Restless, the Abyssals, and the Imperium. And by the way, there will only be 1,000 decks in production, not a single deck more. You can also purchase their limited edition coins too, which come in a variety of colors like bronze, copper, and silver, as well as the Black Noir coin, which will be limited to only 100 units and not a single unit more. With all of that said and done, if you're into dark fantasy like you've never seen before with beautiful artwork, check out the Eternium. Links are in the description below. In one campaign I'm in, an especially evil Big Bad created an acid rainstorm over the entire city, which killed most of the civilians and destroyed all the buildings that weren't made of stone. Oh, and I later found out that this big bad evil guy did this to every city in the multiverse, as it was actually the over-god of another multiverse who decided our multiverse needed to be wiped out. There were only 2 places that were spared: the main city of the first realm and the entirety of the newest realm in the multiverse, which wasn't known about prior to the invasion, and thus they couldn't reach it. Served the party the heads of their pet griffins raised from eggs at a banquet. They stabled the things at the Big Bad's castle, then marched right in and announced their intention to thwart his dastardly plan. My hands were tied, and you just created several John Wick situations. Good job. A town lord abandoned the defenses of 1/3 of his town after forcing all the half-elves into that squalor in that part of town. Whenever orc raiders attacked, they would strike the half-elves first, which would give his guards time to respond. So the half-elves lived on starvation wages, could not leave the ghetto except to work for those wages, and kept suffering first from any attack on the town. Oh yeah, we came back at level 18 and overthrew the asshole. Killed the druid's lover, then cast Raise Dead to bring her back, then put her into a forced servitude. Then conditioned her to believe that since she had been brought back from the dead, she was no better than the undead monsters that the druid had sworn to destroy. So when the druid finally rescued her, she cried and asked the druid to kill her again, to restore the natural order of how things should have been. To the surprise of several of us, the druid actually made the character-defining decision to oblige and stabbed her in the heart with a dagger. There were tears all around that evening. He eventually invented guns and imbued them with magic. He then started a religious uprising against the gods and began literally arming every man, woman, and child to throw against the meat grinder that would come. Oh God, what is this, United States? He then had those platoons of children attack the party and painted them as child murderers in the eyes of the public. Oh, this is disgustingly cruel. Oh, killed off a PC's love interest, took her place, slept with said PC, then proceeded to backstab him at a later date during a caravan raid. That turned out to be an ambush on the party. Well, that sounds a lot like one of the spoilers for Batman Beyond. When the party made an outright move against the noble Big Bad, he commanded his Griffin cavalry to dive into the city and randomly kill children, while we were unable to stop them. In a game I ran, the Big Bad didn't do anything particularly despicable that I can recall right now. He did burn down some cities and was manipulative to his allies, though I think the main thing that got the party personally invested in killing him was that he was annoying, and kept showing up to them in dreams and stuff to taunt them. In a Fallout RPG, however, I had the president of an enclave killing any Chinese descendants, because he believed them to be spies for the non-existent Chinese government. The Big Bad of another game, though, I'm in, destroyed the son and plunge the world into eternal darkness. I mean, you'd all freeze to death, so at least it wouldn't be too long. I had a Scion villain who captured one of the PCs, threatening to start erasing her most precious memories of her dead family and replace them with memories you will wish you didn't have. I didn't specify further. This is obviously the kind of thing best left up to the audience's imagination for several reasons. In a campaign where villains blew up cities, spread a Resident Evil body horror plague, started wars for personal gain, and eventually tried to transform the entire planet into biomechanical slaves. Think, Phyrexian oil, not even once. Oh, that's bad. The players felt that was the evilest thing they had witnessed. Playing the Curse of Strahd. Nothing can end well with this one. Players meet a French bulldog named Butters and are quickly attached to his lovable antics. They return to the Blue Water Inn to find Butters in the hands of Strahd, limp. Never have my players raged so hard against an enemy they knew they could not defeat. Ooh, another John Wick moment. I would just have catapults bombing the hell out of his castle until he died. A secondary villain is a demon that manipulated an entire country into worshipping her as a goddess. She controls their entire lives from birth, breaking them down to their basest level before building them back up the way she wants them to. Everyone in the country is a zealot. One citizen and a PC fell in love with each other. Their love was true, but the citizen's dedication to their goddess causes her to open the PC up to the same manipulation. Oh, they shelled an entire city to flush us out. We were playing a homebrew campaign where there were two societies, on the ground and in the air, and both had no idea the other existed until an airship crashed onto the surface. My party was the first surface dwellers in millennia to reach the world above the clouds, and as soon as we docked, we tripped some kind of alarm. Within 3 days, an entire fleet rained cannon fire and spells onto the shipping town we had infiltrated. Children, elderly, all races were killed indiscriminately to try and figure out which ship was from the surface. There was no warning. Anyone who tried to spread the word was never seen again. Still one of the best role-playing experiences I've ever been in, as my group had to make sense of the wanton destruction that occurred in character. Needless to say, we were hooked after that. And I need more details because that setting sounds really cool. We got 3 things. First, during our first confrontation, he decided, after beating us down to near 0 hit points, to brand us all as criminals with a spell that neither the cleric nor the wizard could dispel at this level, around level 4 or so. Second, when we met him for the second time, he invited us to a dinner at his palace. How nice. The grand feast was cursed to wither to ash in any criminal's mouth. Even worse, it was each of our characters' favorite foods too. And third, he killed our barbarian. He was out of all our characters, mine being a samurai and pathfinder, the dedicated tank, a loving father, a great defender of life. Saved the wizard 16 times in the campaign. 16 times! But he was also the best friend of everyone in the party. We cut him down and showed him why you don't mess with the best friend of the group. Though, afterwards, because the spell he branded us with, we couldn't resurrect the barbarian. So, I'm the DM of a campaign that goes past level 20 and has plenty of homebrew and reference characters, powers, items, and the like. A big bad of a town did the most meta-wise evil thing to the player that was part of their backstory. For context, this player had mentioned they were tortured by a depraved evil scientist that had been working with the group of bad guys that currently are trying to destroy their home and their world. He had been executed by the kingdom he was working in due to this player escaping their laboratory, revealing their evil deeds, and had been resurrected to continue helping them, being granted increased strength and a massive enchanted adamantine sword that deals 12 D10 slashing damage. The players are within levels 17 and 22, so this is meant to be a scary encounter. When I had this big bad run into this character, I was not prepared for the roles this guy was about to do. The player characters begin fighting the enemies in a cave, and this man sets his sights on the player, the fighter, who had been the cause for his execution, managing to reach them and tanking multiple attacks to this man, who then takes his turn. He first grapples the fighter to ensure they won't get away, then proceeds to nat 20 their attack roll. I gasped for a moment as Well, I was not prepared for his first roll being a crit. Then I roll the 24d10 and get the max result, a max crit. This player had taken damage before and had to use a spell crystal that gave them a total of 247 HP, meaning that when they got hit, they barely survived, hanging on by 7 HP. That also had the effect of temporarily knocking them out until their next turn. The player luckily survived due to the intervention from the other players, specifically the paladin, who had just recently gotten control over their lycanthropy, rushing this big bad and pinning him to the wall so the fighter could escape through a magic door created by one of the NPCs. That fighter then probably proceeded to crap their pants and scream bloody murder. Threatened to kidnap a child who's been with us since session 1. We came to know this 5-year-old named Tobias, the brother of our resident dragonborn, Bag of Rocks. Why? We came to love Toby, kind of just becoming honorary family to him and Bag of Rocks. Big Bag makes her first appearance, saying our employer, who just hired us for a quest, failed to honor his end of the agreement between her and him. She said maybe she could take the reborn NPC Tommy, who we also came to love after meeting him. Toby told her to pick on somebody her own size, and she said she could also take Toby because of his attitude. Cue us all getting pissed and immediately deciding her head belonged on a spike. A few sessions ago, we faced a lich and destroyed it, but not before our paladin, Nancy, died. We couldn't bring her back to life for some reason and didn't know why. During a long rest on our 5th day of travel to go and take the Philanthropy to a near volcano, abruptly, the Philanthropy began spewing magical energy and out popped the lich. Do you know my favorite thing about being a lich? It's that when you kill me, I get to choose what soul to destroy to bring myself back. So, go ahead and kill me again so another one of your friends gets denied the afterlife the gods think they deserved. At that moment, we realized Nancy was no more, and we would never see her again. Worse, we lost the wizard during this fight. The rush to free the souls in the Philanthropy to try and stop the loss of another friend couldn't be any more tense. We need more stories like that. Also, another story had a player backstory where that player had a revenge plot against their own personal big bad. Well, during the fight where the player got the upper hand against his own personal backstory big bad's guards, they came to find their revenge target already dead in their room. The main big bad already killed him, denying that player their own personal revenge, denying that player their whole planned speech or even a confrontation, all while leaving a message behind of, I did you a favor, so maybe now I have your full attention. Oh, that's cold. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA back at it again, checking in after the vid. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and of course, leave a comment down below telling us about the most evil thing you've witnessed a big bad evil guy do. Love you all. Be safe out there.